Uzbekistan's top player and one of the best in the world, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, takes on world champion Domaraju Gukesh. Gukesh is here fresh from 2 wins on day 1. He managed to beat Alireza Firuza and Pragnananda, and now he takes on his arch rival on the first round of day 2, Nodirbek Abdusattorov. Nodirbek started off with a loss to Anish Giri, then drew with Prag and drew with Ivan Saric. So he hasn't had the best of starts in this tournament. But this clash is something that everyone looks forward to. Gukesh versus Nodirbek. Whenever they play each other, it's fireworks on the board. And one of the main reasons for that is the ambition that is harbored by both these players. They want to beat each other. They want to play fierce chess. Look at Nodirbek there. So calm, so focused. And Gukesh in his customary style there, just adjusting all the pieces, making sure he's battle ready. 25 minutes plus 10 seconds increment is the time control, and we are ready here. The players shake hands, and Nodirbek now opens the game with, what's his first move going to be? Thinks a bit, goes d4. Gukesh instantly responds with the knight coming out to f6, c4 played here, pawn comes out to e6, and now knight to c3, ready to play the Nimzo Indian, bishop b4, and Nodirbek plays the classical system with queen c2. Pawn comes up to d5, a3 played, and now bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, and Gukesh quickly castles here. The knight comes out to f3, a very logical move played here by Nodirbek. Knight b d7 played. Generally b6 is played, keeping the knight on b8 flexible, but Gukesh felt that okay, I can develop my knight. A pin is created here, b6, to get the bishop out and play c5. If you see this position, white, because has moved the queen like c2, c3, is lagging behind in development, but has the bishop pair. So he's catching up. He can do like bishop e2 and castles without any problems. He would be doing pretty fine here. c5 played by Gukesh, and bishop b5. You can see pressure here and here mounting. h6, a nice move by Gukesh. I believe that Nodirbek will keep the pressure with bishop h4. Yes, he does that. And now g5 could be interesting, but Gukesh goes a5. Slightly weird move. Not so sure what he's aiming for with that. Bishop c6, maybe not the best. He's not really threatening to win this pawn. Rook a7. Because if you take, already knight d5 hits the queen. So now he takes on c5. The queen opens up along with the bishop. Pawn takes. And now this king is a little bit in danger here. Taking on d7, taking on f6, and kind of equalizing the position might be a good idea. Bishop takes d7, good move there. And now rook d7. And I think it's good time for Nodirbek to take. Queen takes, and go into that endgame. Although he might not have a huge advantage, but queen c5 is a bad move, because now this allows bishop a6 at the cost of one pawn. You have actually kept the king in the center of the board. Fantastic move there by Gukesh. Bishop a6. The queen comes back to d4. Now trying to once again threaten to take on f6, but this time it's too late. Gukesh gets g5 in, and now the bishop goes back. The knight jumps into e4. Another idea was rook e8 with the idea of rook e4, but knight e4 is not bad. And now what does Nodirbek do here? He goes rook c1. And it suddenly starts to feel like, everything is good for white. The king was fine. Maybe just good castle would be wonderful. But here's the point. The rook can be activated from h4. So queen comes back to d1. But this is a big mistake, because now Gukesh has d4. And the point of it is, after rook e8, all the pieces are just incredibly positioned in the game. And white can't castle. So this is a tough decision, and Gukesh misses it. And Nodirbek instantly jumps in with his knight to d4. And he's like, Gukesh, I'm not allowing you to push this pawn and open up your queen anymore. So Gukesh now, who has 9 minutes on the clock, Nodirbek, who has 7 here, getting into the game where it's going to be very intense. Knight c5 played. He's coming in with a check. Rook c2 is an important move, and Nodirbek finds it. And position has equalized from being winning for Gukesh. It's now equal. He goes a4. And an important move now is to play h4 to start the king side play, but he goes king d2. This is a blunder here. h4 would have been strong to get queen h5, try to play along the h file, but now rook b7 is a super strong move. The reason for that is that you then have threats of bishop d3 and rook takes b2, and look at Gukesh adjusting himself in the chair, finding this classy move, rook b7, and I think Nodirbek can sense it that all of a sudden his position has gotten into big trouble. Queen c1 played, attacking the knight here, but Gukesh brings the bishop, and suddenly this bishop on g3 is absolutely not participating. f3 played, maybe against this check coming in, but you have the queen entering with a check here. Queen a5 check, brilliant move played here by Gukesh. King d1, and now to finish off the game, knight b3. What a move, because if you take here, I'll take and pin you. If you don't take, I'll take and pin you anyway. Bishop e1 attacking the queen, and now queen a6. Look at white pieces all tied up, completely misplaced. Gukesh has managed to completely outplay Nodirbek in 27 moves here only. He looks at Nodirbek there. Nodirbek knows that there is nothing much left in the position, pauses the clock, resigns the game. Gukesh scores his third win in a row. A fantastic game, showing some great understanding of the dynamics. Yes, he missed that opportunity to push d4, but the position remained so complex that a great player like Nodirbek Abdusattorov was also not able to solve the problems that he was posed on the board. I think this is the moment in the game which is the most instructive. Here white is slightly worse. A move like knight d2 would help white to keep the balance. But queen d1, which was so natural because the idea is to play knight d4, h4, bring the queen here, is suddenly met with this amazing move that Gukesh did not play in the game d4. Now how does this move win? It's clear that if you take with the pawn, rook e8 and the king is toasted on e1. But the difficulty lies in knight takes pawn, because after this, black has to find a move that is very tough, rook e8. And I don't think humans generally think this way, because there's no direct threat, but the idea is that you can take here and take on g2. You couldn't do it immediately, by the way, because if you did this, then queen h5 is very, very strong. But after the rook comes to e8 here, now these all threats become possible, because if the queen moves away, there is rook d4, there is rook takes e3 check. And so in such a position, let's say you make a move like rook c2, just improving your position. I play the move even a4, but you can take now. Take here, queen g2, and all of a sudden you see the value of this move. If queen h5, which would be otherwise very strong, is met with rook d4, and finally threatening a forced mate here is met with takes, queen g3 and queen e3 with a checkmate. This entire concept where you play the pawn to d4, let him take here and bring the rook to e8 is such a beautiful clearance of diagonals and ranks and files here, and shows how important it is to open up the position when your opponent's king is in the center.